Alrighty, Vikings game plan from the TCO studios is in deep stretch. Paul Allen, Ron Johnson, Vikings Game Day Live on Fox 9, and Pete Bercich, former linebacker and coach for the Minnesota Vikings, longtime analyst for the Vikings radio network. And, you know, we recognize within the last week there was a beatdown. A border battle beatdown. Didn't go the way of the Vikings, but they still have 10 wins. They closed the regular season with the ever-beatable Chicago Bears. Then we have the playoffs around the corner. Much more on that coming up later. So, Ron, overall, it's been a positive season. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, they're in the playoffs, and so that's the key. The key is going to the playoffs. So you got that done. Now you just have to get everybody healthy going forward. Mike Zimmer's done a good job. Stefanski in his first year with Kubiak looks great. The outside zone run has been working. The whole Dalvin Cook 2 tight end bit, that works. So yeah. I think overall it's good. Yes, there's been some negative moments. There's been some down times. But at the end of the day, you could be the Bears and you could be going home. Jeez. So you get to play one more week and then the fate's in your hands from there. So I think that's a successful season.
You know, I think from a fashionista standpoint, the best way to put it is the Chargers game was Ron's ascot and the Packers game was my makeshift turtleneck underneath a hammer-made suit. Pete Bercich, analyst, Vikings Radio Network. Speaking of the Chargers game or the border battle, just the whole thing, it's you call all the games, man. Yeah. You know more about this than us. It's been a very good season.
No, it has. And you go back and you look at how things were going into the season when we had all these questions in the kicking game. Well, those things were solved. We didn't know how our offensive line was going to gel. You know, we had a bunch of rookies, or at least a number of rookies that we were sprinkling in that we were concerned about. Those guys, I think, have all performed very, very well. So I think when you step back and you look at the big question marks coming into the season, a lot of those were answered. Dalvin Cook never had a whole entire healthy season. You know, all those things were big question marks, and they were all answered. So I think this next layer, then, you know, getting into the playoffs, that it's building upon what we've already seen this year.
And the analyst references the rookies, where with Garrett Bradbury, Irv Smith Jr., Alexander Madison, who will play again, all the way down to Bercich Johnson. And by the way, a 7th-round rookie from Air Force, Austin Cutting, pretty big spot. Long snapper for the entire season. He's done a wonderful job. So there are positives with this 10-win Vikings team. And from an offensive standpoint, Ron, Dalvin Cook will be back. We don't exactly know when, but Dalvin Cook will be playing again.
Yeah, at this point in his season, it's going to be about pain management. And he knows that. He's just resting up, trying to get the little bit of aches out. And then he knows going forward, I just got to manage this pain. But Dalvin Cook is 31.7% of the team's offense. Whoa. So he is that's 1/3 of everything done on this field. So he's a huge part for Kirk Cousins. He's been a huge part for this team. And if you remember the Packers game in Green Bay, his 75-yard run was the spark that kind of showed everybody, okay, they can win this game. So I think that's what everybody's excited to get back, is that Dalvin Cook. And when it comes to the outside zone, he's a perfect fit because he can read that defensive end and he's quick twitch that he can go in or out in the split second.
Peter, they missed Dalvin so much in that Green Bay game. I mean, if only from a threat standpoint, you know?
Absolutely. And you look at what this offense has done so well. And with like what Ron was saying with the zone plays, and then all the things that they had built off of that, the play actions, the bootlegs, those kinds of things in the passing game, using the tight ends more, as we saw after a few weeks when Thielen was down and Rudolph stepped up and had 6 touchdown catches in a few weeks. They built off of what they did well. And so, you know, doesn't team live and die with one guy? Not really, but this offense is built on what Dalvin Cook can do and what kind of a threat he is out of the backfield.
Now, overall, the offense has been good this year. We discussed Dalvin Cook. Kirk Cousins has had the best season of his career. And then you get to rookie standout Irv Smith Jr. He's a couple of catches from a rookie record for tight ends, Andrew Jordan, with catches in a season. Irv Smith Jr., a little slow to go for all those tight ends, but Irv Smith Jr., Ron, has become a markedly bigger threat.
Yeah, and because Cy's not here, I'll tell a story because we don't have Cy Amundsen. So I remember
once upon a time I wore an ascot.
I remember being a receiver, leaving Baltimore, going to Chicago, and they wanted me to play tight end. It was like drinking water from a fire hose, trying to understand the blocking schemes, the run schemes, also the pass schemes, the receiver routes and the tight end routes, plus the hot routes, because the tight end has to know that as well, who's the blitz pickup. So Irv Smith, as a rookie, I could not imagine that. He was drinking water from a fire hose. But as you see the season progress, he's understood what's going on with his team. He's understood the offense better. And the fact that they started a game with trying to run a screen to him shows that he's getting more and more of his offense and he's grasping more and more of it. And the future's really bright with him.
Pete, you being an elite defensive mind, Ifeadi Odenigbo specifically playing inside, he has 6 sacks. He even got to A-Rod.
He did, and he's been an impact player, and that's all you can ask for. I think defensively we've seen a lot of guys, late-round draft picks, free agents that have stepped up and done real well. The Green Bay Packers tried to block him with the tight end, and it was futile. A defensive end, a good defensive end is going to win that battle 99% of the time. He did. 6 sacks this season, very, very productive. I mean, you have so many threats now between Ifeadi Odenigbo, Everson Griffin, Danielle Hunter. Which one do you block?
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult for an offense to game plan.
Everybody was saying Aaron Rodgers has not thrown interceptions all season.
Yeah.
On Fox 9, Game Day Live.
There we go.
Before the game, I said he's going to throw an interception to Anthony Harris or Harrison Smith.
Yeah.
Please go find the tape, because I said that.
Of course you did.
I picked the safeties to get interception. Anthony Harris did just that. Why? Because when I talked to Anthony Harris in the elevator, the biggest thing I noticed the difference is he picks the ball off. He's not looking for the big hit. A lot of guys would have saw Devontae Adams and said, I'm going to knock his head off.
Yeah.
Anthony Harris is like, I'm going for the pick. And so that's what he's a game changer.
You taught Laquan Treadwell how to catch and probably taught Charles Woodson how to wear an ascot. Danielle Hunter, 14.5 sacks, legitimate threat. See the common thread here from 10 wins. Not all is bad. Don't be a prisoner of the moment and think that Monday night fiasco was everything, because it wasn't. But it was a border loss to the Green Bay Packers, a team the Vikings potentially could see in the playoffs, maybe week 1. You know, Pete, you know better than anybody, man. You can't look at these games and be like, boom, this team is a cinch winner. I got to believe Green Bay has a pretty good chance to win against Detroit this weekend. If Green Bay wins against Detroit, we will not hook Green Bay in the first round of the playoffs. But just quickly, if they got a crack at Green Bay, any part of the equation, with Dalvin, with Madison, and with Kendricks, full complement, would you like that?
I absolutely would, and I think that the one thing we can hang our hats on, at least the Vikings can, is that Aaron Rodgers has not looked stellar against us. We have stubbed our own toe. We have given them opportunities. We've let punts get blocked. Outside of the first quarter of the game number 2, he hasn't been that great. So that part of the equation makes me very comfortable with heading to Green Bay.
The possibility of meeting Seattle, that quite honestly is a high possibility. Winning at CenturyLink Field, tough for everybody. Beating Russell Wilson is tough. They just signed Marshawn Lynch. Their top 2 backs, Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, out for the year. Likewise for left tackle Dwayne Brown. And in closing, Ron, going to New Orleans, Drew Brees, 24 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That could happen. Mercedes-Benz Superdome. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. I like Pete's take on Green Bay as far as with Aaron Rodgers. But when you look at New Orleans, you got Michael Thomas, who's one of the best receivers in the NFL, just set the record, 144 catches in a season, taking down Marvin Harrison.
You were better at Minnesota, but anyway.
But if you look at that New Orleans team, they do something offensively that defensively we struggle with, which is getting the ball out of their hands quick and letting their big receivers make those short catches and run after the catch. And Drew Brees is one of the best at doing it. I think they still can beat New Orleans there because of what Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin have been doing, and Ifeadi Odenigbo, which is not giving the quarterback a lot of time. Drew Brees has not had to run around and scramble. So a team like this can stymie him. But the biggest thing is the crowd noise in that offense for Kirk Cousins. That can get tough in there.
Well, we do know the Vikings have a playoff game next week, which means we have a winning formula next week, and we can't wait for it. We just don't know who we're playing, but who cares? We'll figure that out. For Pete Bercich, Ron Johnson's ascot, and my mock turtle, I'm Paul Allen. That's Vikings Game Plan. Thanks for watching.